Hello everybody, welcome to the first week of statistics. I'm going to talk about some material from our Introductory Statistics textbook, first edition, on OpenStax. I want to highlight some terminology that you'll need to know and talk a little bit about Microsoft Excel, which is the technology you'll be using to make sure that you're successful in this first week. Chapter 1 talks about sampling and data. What you're going to have to do is you should make sure that in your reading of the textbook, you concentrate on four sections, mainly the first three, and make sure you take a note of the fourth section. The first section covers definitions in statistics, and our whole first week is all about the language that we use in statistics. Section 2 highlights definitions dealing with data, sampling, and variation in data. Section 3 highlights frequency, frequency tables, and levels of measurement. And Section 4 highlights experimental design and ethics in statistics. My task today is not to represent this material. I have included a video from the author, Barbara Illowsky, who lectures through and gives some really wonderful examples of this material. My job is to highlight what it is that you will want to know to understand the material right here, and make sure that as you do your reading, you take notes of these definitions because they become very important to us in the rest of our work for this entire course. Let me make a technology note as well. The textbook highlights the use of TI calculators, which is fine. If you want to get a TI, Texas Instruments calculator, and follow along with the reading, I encourage you to do so. However, one of the tools that we want to make sure that you have a good handle on and understanding of is the use of Microsoft Excel. Microsoft Excel is a spreadsheet technology. A spreadsheet is a collection of data organized into an array of cells arranged into rows and columns, and it's used to summarize, analyze, perform calculations with the data. There is a ton of material out there for how to use Excel, and we want to be able to employ this technology as well because it becomes really important in the professional sphere for you to be able to deal with spreadsheets of data and how we are going to organize and deal with this data as well. So I will separately present material on how to use Excel when it comes time for us to do that. Please make sure that you take a note and that you have the newest edition of Microsoft Excel, at least 2013 or better. In section 1.1, the definitions that are discussed are going to be dealing with statistics, whether we talk about descriptive statistics or inferential statistics, and ask what is the difference between those two. We concentrate on the idea of populations versus samples. What is a parameter? Well, it describes a population. What is a statistic? It deals with the information about a sample. And why do we even need samples when we do have populations? Why can't we deal with the entire population rather than just a sample? Data, we talk about the meaning of data. We talk about variables. What is the meaning of a variable, whether it's numerical or categorical? We talk about a few definitions of what is meant by probability, what is meant by mean, and proportions. All of these are going to become very important to us as we proceed through the course. Make sure that you're taking the time to note down these definitions. You may even want to write them down or at least take a note of where they are. In section 1.2, we get a little bit more in depth about what we do with some of these statistics, and we make a differentiation between qualitative versus quantitative data. Sometimes we call qualitative data categorical data because we're describing the quality of a thing or a person. Whereas quantitative starts with the word quantity, so it indicates that we're dealing with amounts, things that we can say how many or how much. We do further divide that into discrete versus continuous data. Make sure that you take a very big note of that one, because that becomes a very important topic for us. In the chapter, we also talk about qualitative data charts, type of charts that are used to describe qualitative or categorical data, such as pie graphs, bar graphs, and Pareto charts. We talk about sampling and variation. Random sampling methods include simple random samples, stratified samples, cluster samples, systematic, and convenience samples. We also talk a little bit about what is meant by a sampling error and a sampling bias. And in section 3, we continue going through the material talking about rules for rounding off. When do we do that with our data? Levels of measurement. What is meant by nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio level data? And frequency. We talk about the frequency, relative frequency, and cumulative frequencies of data. Again, please note that I'm not giving you a lot of in-depth lecture on this. Please watch that video by Barbara Illowsky and make sure you do the reading. It is highly critical that you do that. Finally, in section 1.4, we talk about some definitions there that include the idea of what's called an experimental design. What's the difference between an explanatory versus a response variable? What is meant by treatment control groups, placebos, and double-blind experiments? We don't go into depth about these things. There are entire courses that are devoted to dealing with experimental design, but it is enough to know for right now what's meant by these things, because they come up in the professional literature that you most likely will be dealing with at some point, whether you're in management, nursing, or engineering or technical fields. These are all very important to us. So here's what to expect this week. First of all, you need to make sure that you sign in to the Webassign homework platform by Thursday, March 29th. Here's the Webassign class key that you'll need to sign into my class. It's NEIT in lowercase letters 39371457. This number can be found in the syllabus. And the directions for signing into Webassign are also found in Canvas. Please take a note. Please make sure that you watch the weekly lecture and fill out the Google form no later than 5 p.m. on Friday, March 30th. That weekly lecture is how I do attendance. That means that if your response is not there, I cannot count you as having been present. You need to be present in the class and showing activity each week, and most especially on this weekly lecture Google form. Your response is critical. Be sure to read the chapter. Once again, I need to emphasize that your quizzes that will happen in the even number weeks will be based on your reading. There's a Webassign homework assignment that's due Monday, April 1st. And you're going to be responding to the first of our five discussion boards. So your job is to post 2 responses. There's going to be 1 main post and 1 substantial response to a classmate. I have a rubric posted. Please take a look at that in the syllabus. I do expect that you will use college level writing. I do expect that your work will be complete and that your thoughts are conceived and written in a professional manner, as professional as you can make it. Remember that this is the type of thing that you're going to be doing with our statistics. Your job is to interpret and learn from these statistics so that you can apply them in the professional sphere, because one day you may need them. You never know. So please make sure that you have questions. You let me know. Please email me at mpeoples@neit.edu or use the Canvas tool to do that. I'll be looking forward to getting your emails and helping you out during the week. Have a great week, everybody.